Thanks for bailing me out, Mike.
Oh, no problem.
I'm
So
sorry,
Gary,
Pam.
go ahead. And we also have Mrs. Gregory here too, under privilege of the floor.
Okay. Good evening, Mrs. Gregory.
Good evening.
Okay, so we're ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, I will call the Village Board of Trustees meeting for July 20th, 2020 to order. And I ask that we rise and Mike Crowley will say the pledge to the flag for us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have Sue on board tonight? Sue Hughes?
Nope.
Smith? Okay, she was first on the agenda. I'm going to hold off on stepping in for her in case she joins the meeting. I was under the impression she was going to. Okay, then next is Barbara Gregory at 80 Latchmere Drive regarding a sewer bill penalty. Good evening, Mrs. Gregory.
Good evening.
And you explain to the board what the issue is here.
Yes, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I recently received my bill for the sewer bill, and I noted on there that it was actually more than double what it normally is. And there was the code marked for SAR, which I believe is sewer arrears. So I called the office to inquire as to why the bill appeared that way. And I was informed that I hadn't paid the previous bill, and that was, so there was the double charge and then a late fee. And I indicated to the person I spoke with, I'm not sure if it was the clerk who's sitting here. Is it you that I spoke to?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I hate to keep talking about somebody that
That's okay.
without meaning. So Pamela, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I spoke to Pamela and said that I had never received the bill that would have come out normally probably around April. So I had never received it, which is why I didn't pay it. And she said that she could not waive the late fee, that I would have to come to the board to present my concern regarding that. So I've lived in Victor for over 30 years and have dutifully paid all of my bills for water and sewer on time. To my knowledge, I've never missed a payment. And if I did, I would have paid the late fee at that point in time, but I never received this bill. And with everything going on with the COVID and the shutdown and everything, I wasn't checking to see what bills might be coming up in my check register. So I just normally wait till I receive the bill in the mail and then I pay it on time. So I'm asking for the board's consideration to waive the late fee, which I am more than happy to pay the money owed for the last billing cycle and the current billing cycle. But I'm asking for consideration to waive the late fee. And additionally, I spoke with Pam about signing up for the auto debit going forward, so there won't ever be a situation again where I wouldn't receive the bill and not pay it.
And did you receive that form in the mail?
I did receive the form, yes.
Thank you for the explanation. And I believe we have, Pam, I know I have it. I don't know if the rest of the board has it. We have Mrs. Gregory's payment history and so forth. And the late fee totals $7.88, right?
Yes, that's what Pam told me.
Anybody on the board have anything?
Did he freeze?
I'm sorry.
I think you're freezing up on me, or I'm freezing up. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I hear you now.
All right. Thank you for letting me know. So I look at the payment history, and obviously she has not missed a payment. I guess I would say, I know personally, I've had it happen, not with the water and sewer bill, but with other bills that I pay. If it were a chronic situation, I would definitely, not be in favor of waiving the penalty.
And I would understand that.
So does anybody else on the board have a thought on it? Or a comment?
Yeah, it's hard. It's happened to me and I come here twice a month. So, I get that we don't waive the late fee because like I said, it's happened to me myself. So, yeah.
Who's got a clock in them?
I'm sorry, somebody said something. Was that JT?
No, nothing.
So, Mrs. Gregory, you can understand how why the policy is there. Because, and I'm not suggesting that you are doing this, but anybody can say, I didn't get my bill. And that's why the policy is there, because we really don't have any way of verifying whether that's true or not. But again, I look at this case, she's a longtime resident, and if it's a mistake, a one-time thing, I don't have a problem with waiving the fee. Again, I'll ask the rest of the board how they feel about that. Do you, as a board, do you want to vote on this, or do you want to give me the authority to waive the fee?
Here, Carol.
If somebody had, let me rephrase it. If somebody has a definite, reason not to waive it, just speak up, and I'm happy to listen.
Well, my only reason would be is we don't waive it. So it's not like we're a for-profit company, like a credit card or anything like that. It's just, I certainly get that life can get in the way, but it's been our long-term policy not to waive it.
Understood.
I think everybody should weigh in, should weigh in. Don't you think, Reed?
He's muted.
Been the worst Zoom meeting ever.
Reed's muted, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on, he's coming back.
Oh, there's Michelle.
I didn't
Any
hear no-
comments, Michelle?
I guess my only question is, what does this look like if we make one exception now? What does that look like later on? So that's, I think, where I kind of sit with all of this. And I've never seen this happen. So, but it could just be that I'm the rookie on the team.
Well, it's a point well taken that, it's a precedent, not an intentional precedent on part of I don't believe on the resident, but it's a precedent we can't keep, that's for sure.
Right.
I'm sorry I was muted there. My recommendation is that you take a vote on it at some point.
I'm sorry, Reed, I couldn't hear you.
I said, I'm sorry I was muted there for a minute, but my recommendation is that you take a vote on it.
Okay. Okay, then let's,
Gary,
yes, Bob.
I'll give you my opinion on it. I mean, I certainly believe Miss Gregory that, that she didn't receive a bill. Because the penalty is so small, and I mean, it seems like if you're not using the auto pay, that's a little bit of the risk that you take, that somewhere along the line, a bill gets mislaid and so I guess my feeling would be, based on precedent, is not to override it, not to allow a waiver of the late fee.
Thank you for the comment. Any other comments?
I agree with everyone who's spoken. I mean, as Bob said, certainly that we don't believe Mrs. Gregory, but I've had it happen the other way too, where I've mailed a payment in and it didn't get received, lost in the mail or whatever, and unfortunately you have to pay the penalty. That's,
Thank you, Carol. Okay, so to Reed's point, if there's no other comments,
May I make another comment?
absolutely.
I understand that you have rules for reasons, and I would assume that the late fee or the penalty is to be a deterrent to people to not pay late or to miss a payment. But in this instance, I would think that you could make an exception based on 30+ years of paying on time, following through. And I understand the point that if you didn't use auto debit, but I don't think it was always available. And I've never had a situation like this occur in the past. I am now absolutely going to do that. But I don't think it's fair, because the late fee, there's no cost incurred to the village or the board by the fact that I didn't pay it on time, because you didn't send a follow-up bill. There was no phone call or email, so there was no staff member's time taken to track down why I didn't pay that. So there's really no cost incurred to you or loss of any amount by waiving the late fee. And I understand you don't think it's a lot of money. And if that's the case, then why do you need to recoup it when I'm sitting here telling you, and I would swear on a stack of Bibles, that I did not receive it or I would have paid it. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my bills on time. And I don't think it's fair to, just because you don't want to set a precedent. You make exceptions based on the circumstance. You don't just make a rule and say, we'll never make an exception. That's not good government, in my opinion. I think you need to take circumstances into consideration when making decisions, and not just make blanket decisions that you never change.
Okay, thank you for the comments, Mrs. Gregory. I respect your opinions,
Thank you.
and I'm sure the rest of the board does as well. So we've kind of hammered this out, and we'll follow Reed's advice and we'll take a vote on this. So I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Commisso,
no,
Trustee Chalupa,
I'm gonna say no.
Trustee Kelly,
No.
Deputy Mayor Mike Crowley,
Sorry, no.
You,
and myself, I vote yes. So, Mrs. Gregory, unfortunately, we're going to ask you to pay the bill and the penalty.
That is unfortunate. It's extremely unfair, and I don't think it demonstrates any kind of good faith on the part of this board.
I appreciate that you took the time to join us tonight and express your opinion. I realize you're not happy with the result, but we're going to move on. Okay. Next, we have the clerk's report.
have a resolution for the payment or for the acceptance of minutes from our July 6th meeting.
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes.
Motion by Carol. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion about the minutes from July 6th? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries.
And I've got a resolution to approve the payment of bills, abstract number 4.
Is there a motion
I'll
for
make-
the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mike,
I'll second that.
second by Michelle. Any questions or comments regarding the abstract? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, the motion carries. Pam, anything else at the moment?
No.
Okay, Director of Public Works.
Just a couple things. Moore we finished the water main up last Thursday. We did a water test today. Come to find out, we got a bad valve from the manufacturer. So tomorrow morning, we are digging up Moore again and replacing that valve. I had a DEC inspection last Thursday over at Jacob's Landing. Everything looked pretty good. But they're doing recommendations that we need to clean the pond, so that hopefully it'll happen mid-August. I told them that we could get that done. And as you know, that they closed the road down, so we've had a couple concerns this afternoon that Pam brought to my attention. So I'm meeting with the state again tomorrow morning to try to resolve those. If there's any other questions that you guys got, you know, let me know and we'll figure it out.
JT, I have one question about the construction.
Sure.
What would be the, how would we be able to keep the light on top of the Fountain Hill?
Actually, Mike, we've questioned that the last 2 constructions. You know, the one for the bridge and now this, and I mentioned it to the supervisor and DOT. I mean, I think we need to push it. I think it would, do you like it or not like it?
Well, personally, I like it. And then I think the other aspect of it, whether you like it or not, it seems kind of foolish to me to send a labor team to remove it once it's there.
Yeah, they've done that twice. Yeah, I think we need to write, you know, Gary and you need to write them a letter, and I will bring it up at our next meeting. We had a meeting at Village Hall Thursday or Wednesday or whatever day. I think we need to solicit that we need to keep it up there. But I went through there today. The problem that they have is they have no signage. So they keep the speed limit at 55 and people aren't used to it, but they see that green light and they go right through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very dangerous the way, you know, that intersection is 441 is a mountain. 444 isn't bad. So I'll work on that, Mike. And if I got to get you involved with the state or Gary, that would help.
Yeah, the other thing I would say about that was you got to get the town involved.
Well, actually, you got to, actually, it's a county and a state road. So the town really has no say in it. So the county owns 41, the state owns 444.
Okay.
So I think if Gary and, you know, Jack Marin do some type of ladder, whatever, leave it there. I think it would help, you know, instead of taking it back down again.
Yeah, it's, even though it doesn't have anything technically to do with the town, it probably wouldn't hurt to get the town involved in writing a letter as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, the traffic was, for the first day of the detour, it was going, I went through it 3 or 4 times today. It was going smooth. Actually, it's going better without the caution lights there or the red lights there.
I have that intersection in the Deadpool.
You have what?
I have that intersection in the Deadpool.
Mike, I'm right behind you on that because I almost got crushed yesterday coming back from my camp. So that's all I really have, Gary.
Just a question about the Moore Ave situation. So that's a valve that you installed and it turns out to be bad?
Yes, from the manufacturer.
So how much do you have to dig up?
We have to do, it's right out at the intersection of 96. We just found out this afternoon. So I had a guy come in, do a leak test on it because we couldn't get pressure this morning. And he did it all the way down to Moore Ave and he found out that it was the first valve that we put in right when we took off.
All righty. Never easy, is it?
No, so hopefully we get the pressure test done tomorrow, chlorinate, and do our samples for bacteria, and then we start hooking up residents next week.
Great.
And,
I think I see Sue on board.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll get to you in a minute, okay?
Sure, no worries. Yep.
JT, I want to thank you and let the board know that, you got a lot going on, obviously, with road construction and so forth, but the guys stained the refuse enclosure down there in Village Hall parking lot. It had been needing it for a long time, and they got that work done this past week. So that's a good job done in the midst of a busy season. So just wanted to thank them for that.
Yeah, and we're still struggling with stakeouts. So there's probably at least 6 or 8 jobs that we need to get going right now. So I'm in contact with Rich Funky, Pam over in Ontario County for trying to get this 911 or 811 stakeout stuff resolved because we can't move forwards. And we're gonna box out behind Village Hall this week, paving August 3rd. I'm sorry.
That's excellent. I did see the email that you sent to 811 or to RG&E, whoever it was, regarding the stakeout situation. And the lady said she was gonna try and move Victor up on the list.
Yeah, she's gonna try, but
Yeah.
We'll see.
Thanks, JT.
Yep.
Any trustee reports tonight? Anybody have anything to share?
I just
Carol?
have,
Oh,
I have
Bob.
one, Gary.
Okay.
I went to the Building and Grounds Library Committee meeting, and they are continuing and preparing for a counter on the property that they're looking at and looking to start negotiations on it. I think just in watching them, I mean, there are so many issues that they have that are interrelated. They're trying to put together a timetable. And I think that once they have something like that for the board, for the library board, that'll help a lot. I know that they were going to try to meet with you on, was it last Friday that they met with you?
Yeah, it was on the 10th.
But the issue is that they have to wait for another year before they can really put this to the voters, because the way that they're going to finance it essentially is to take out a large loan and then probably more than double, certainly more than double library taxes for the tax rate to pick up the money for it and pay off the mortgage on the loan. But they only have that vote every 2 years. And so going into negotiations with somebody who owns a building that they wanted to get and trying to convince them that they can make it, manage the whole thing on the library schedule is going to be tough. That was my take on the whole situation, is that if they don't make it and have everything nailed down by a year from now, by next April, essentially, whenever the school budget vote normally is, then they have to wait another whole year before they can put it to the, and then in the meantime, they're trying to negotiate something with a landowner and a building owner in order to get the property. And he's got his own problems and issues of full and renting it out and how long the leases go. So that's the issue that they're getting into with the property that they're looking at. I mean, I'm wishing the best of luck with it and hope that it all works out, but it's going to be tough for them. And that's where I see the issues is just timing issues between the negotiations and approvals. And they've also got then fundraising. And how can you raise funds if you don't know where the library is going to be or haven't nailed that down? But how do you nail it down if you don't have the money and don't have an approval from the voters?
Yeah.
So they got all that in the air at the same time. That was my impression of it. I don't know how your meeting went.
Yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. They're up against Father Time here, and the negotiation for the property is really the number one thing they have to figure out. There was a slim chance, according to the meeting we had, that maybe things would progress more rapidly and there would be a shot at a budget vote in 2021, but you know, it's looking increasingly more difficult for that to come to fruition. So,
yeah.
But they are moving forward, and they're well organized, and they've got a great plan.
And they did very well with their vote just recently.
Right.
I thought they have to be very pleased with that vote. So
yeah, I think they were, for sure. Thank you, Bob. Carol?
You already met on July 8th. I got to meet our new member. He's very enthusiastic, looking for ways that we can help the village and help the businesses. We talked about inviting Kathy Rayburn to our October meeting to see if we can't partner with LDC and the chamber and get some things going. We only had 2 projects, facade projects this year in our district. So we will have some extra funds that could be used for something else.
Very good.
That's about it.
Thank you. Michelle?
I had tree board, but nothing that's really earth shattering. I guess the quick is that they're a little worried about the trees and how they look in Rothbury Circle. But they gave props to JT and his team for getting H2O bags on the trees. They talked about the gypsy moth. They talked about the RG&E getting back on the 5-year rotation. John was in on that meeting as well. So just kind of business as usual with tree board. And that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
Mike Crowley, anything?
The only thing I have is I talked to the chair of the zoning board, and there's this this applicant. This past month it was for an interpretation, for this company, Seasonal Pantry. I don't know if if you guys have read this or not, but I got to preface this. I haven't had the opportunity to speak to Meg or to Kathy Rayburn about it, but my impression is they're for this project is what I'm getting from Sean. And this project's in direct violation of the code, in my opinion, and would need a use variance. And I don't see how it meets the legal burden to get one. So yeah, it's creating a little tension for Sean. So, apparently, again, I haven't talked to Meg, and I apologize, and I haven't gone back and read all the planning board minutes, but apparently the planning board has given this project its blessing, is what I'm told. And it doesn't meet code, so.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a catch-22 situation because they gave that approval and then Marty, comes in as code enforcement officer and he's following, the code and said, I don't think this really meets, as you said, meets the code. So that's why they came for an interpretation. And I have not talked to Kathy Rayburn about it. I have talked to Meg, and she does understand, she's personally for the project, but she can't exert influence professionally as a planning board member. She gets that. So maybe at some point you guys will have a conversation or whatever, but I don't know if the applicant is going to go in front of the ZBA or not. Don't have the answer to that.
Do we know that, Pam, or no? Okay. Okay, so they've indicated to Pam they want to apply for a use variance. So, I mean, they haven't, but
yeah,
they want to, so.
So my only comment is it's a great project, but where it's located perhaps is the issue. It is something that would be good for the village, and the location of it, is probably the challenge. So I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll find out.
All right.
Anything else, Mike? Okay, let's get back to Sue. She's patiently waiting for us.
No, really, my apologies for being late.
So Sue Hughes Smith, as I think we all remember her from Rocktricity, here to talk to us about the CCA bid and the results of the bid and some steps going forward. I'll just encapsulate a little bit here, and Sue, I'll let you chime in at whatever point you wish. So I believe the RFP went out the first week of July or thereabouts, and the bids came back on the 9th, if I remember correctly. And there were two bidders, maybe a third, and then some other entities who expressed an interest but didn't bid. And the bids that we got, so I sat in on a conference call with the other communities, Brighton and Pittsford, at least the town of Pittsford. And was it Brockport also involved, Sue?
No, Irondequoit.
Irondequoit, okay. And we sat on that conference call and discussed the bids and so forth with Jewel Associates representative Glenn Weinberg, and he explained things quite well. None of the bids came in at our benchmark. And when I say our benchmark, it's a price that Jewel went into the negotiation with as a benchmark that we were trying to reach. And it was based on, the last 12 months energy prices and particularly renewable energy prices. And unfortunately, the bids came back considerably higher than that. But the bidders were both very interested and thought that in another round that possibly we could come to an agreement. So I think they're looking for some compromise from us, not just us, but all of those municipalities if they can, and some compromise from them.
Yeah,
And
well, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
as just a couple more things, we are bidding for 100% renewable energy, which means wind or solar. And the typical bids out there would include some brown energy, which is what, you know, just your normal, it's generated by nuclear, and what's the other generation? Is it hydropower or
Gas is the main problem.
gas? Yeah,
Mhm.
actually hydropower might be clean energy. So, so that changes the picture a little bit because we're going after 100% renewable, but we talked about this as a board. The other municipalities did as well, and decided let's go for the 100% renewable because that's the ultimate goal of the whole program. And I don't think we're that far off the benchmark where we can't come to an agreement. But so with all that, I will turn this over to Sue. And
Okay, thanks, Gary. Just add a couple things. Jewel was not recommending that benchmark, but because in promoting CCA to communities, other municipalities had really focused on the idea of saving consumers money in comparison to the previous 12 months utility average rate. And it just so happens that the last 12 months, for a variety of reasons, including a very aggressive fracking frenzy across the country, we've had extremely low electric rates in the 3-cent range, and that's historically low. Okay, so had we gone to bid a year earlier, the price we got back would have been competitive. Okay. We also know from talking to people in the industry that these low rates aren't going to persist, right? So this month, RG&E's rate is over 4.5 cents. Last month, it was 4.9 cents. And they're expecting going forward rates to continue to be in the high 4s or 5-cent range. So what we're hoping in this next round of discussions is that communities will consider using a different benchmark so that we can get a good price for renewable energy that will save, we expect to save money going into the next year or 2 years relative to where the market is heading, rather than trying to look backwards, if that makes sense. And then the other point is that if you or I wanted to get 100% renewable energy at a fixed rate for 2 years, we could do that. And you can go on this website through the Public Service Commission, and what's available is 6 cents per kilowatt hour. And we got a bid in the 4.7 cent range. So you'd be saving 30% compared to what you could get as an individual in renewable energy. And so it is a really good value and a really good product, but we need to get some consensus on using this higher bid number to go out again and secure a program.
understood. Appreciate that explanation. And if I remember right, Sue, I believe the brown energy price is really not that much less than the renewable energy price.
You're remembering correctly. Yeah, it's like 0.6 cents higher or lower. Yeah.
And I don't know what 1 cent equates to dollar-wise, you know,
Right.
when it comes to the energy price, but it's a fairly significant amount, I guess, because we're talking about, you know, a few cents here and a few cents there in a bid, not dollars. So
Right, right. You know, for the average consumer, the cost of the electrons is not nearly the expensive part of our bills. It's what we're paying RG&E is usually the bigger part of it. But, you know, it makes a difference over time. I think a 0.5 cent is something like a $20 difference, something on that order. not per month, but like over the year.
Uh-huh.
So it's not a huge difference. So I'm hoping that maybe we can think about it more in that kind of context. A couple dollars a month or $5 a month or something.
Yeah. So going forward,
Mhm.
I'm supposed to sit in on a call, I believe on Thursday,
Right.
with Glenn.
Mhm.
So he can go over everything with me about the bids that we got and where we're going to go from here, where we think we want to go from here. And looking forward to that, I think he said we might be able to get out to bid within a month, which would be good.
Right. That would be ideal. Mhm.
So it could happen fairly quickly.
Mhm.
And once the bid goes out and gets accepted, then we need to send out, or actually you send out, Sue, I believe, an opt-out letter,
Mhm.
or Jewel sends it out, I'm not sure.
The winning supplier, where did you go? The winning ESCO will pay for the letter and send it, but it will be on municipal, and we'll have the municipal seal on it.
Okay. Am I there?
No, I have no idea where you disappeared to, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just as well that you can't see me.
I don't know. It feels a little odd.
Uh,
But yeah.
So anyways, the opt-out letter, we have in front of us, I believe, a draft copy of it. And I hope that the board got a chance to look at it. And if you have any suggestions or comments on the letter, now's the time. Anybody on the board have any concerns or comments about the letter?
I thought the letter looked good.
Yeah, it's very clear and I thought explained it well.
So there's information on the letter about the CCA, and then there's also a block of additional savings on the front of the letter that refers to community solar, the other part of, what we're trying to accomplish. And my feeling, Sue, is, it's confusing enough, just the CCA alone. And then you throw in this other block over there. And if I'm the resident sitting here reading this letter and I haven't been through this process, I'm going to be like, what is that all about? So I had a couple of suggestions.
Sure.
In the additional savings block, I think it should have a little different heading that says see below for additional savings, because down at the bottom of page 1, it says learn more about. And that's what, correct?
Did you freeze up, Gary?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gary, we can adjust that as you like. We can even remove it if you don't want to introduce community solar until after the opt-out period is done with CCA. We will send a separate mailing later about community solar. So if you just want it out of the opt-out letter, that's what, like Arundecoit just wants it out. They don't want it there at all. Other communities are more open to it being there. So it's really up to you if you want some language adjustment or if you just want it out.
How does the rest of the board feel about that?
I'll chime in on this one. I kind of agree with Sue and take the Arundecoit path and just kind of let that sit separately for now. Let's get them through the CCA and then do the solar piece later. And that's what Arundecoit's doing too, right, Sue?
That's correct. Yep.
That makes sense. When would we be doing the community solar?
So once the program for CCA starts, There's a month where the community gets the opt-out letter, and if they don't want to ever participate, they would opt out at that time. They can always opt out later, but this would prevent them from being switched, right? So that's a 30-day period. Then the bills begin to change. And that's kind of another 30 days where slowly people are kind of getting rolled into the program depending on their billing cycle. So at the end of those 60 days, after we're kind of all through that hump of people joining the CCA, then we would send the community solar information.
Okay. I know there was a push to do it simultaneously.
There was, for sure. And some are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to squash the momentum, but then again, it just seems like it might be a little much for village residents to digest all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard enough to explain the CCA to them without,
right,
adding this to it. So maybe we hold off on that.
Okay.
And then the other point I wanted to make is that Glenn told us in that call that one of the bidders, I believe it's Constellation, is trying to develop a new product. So we have fixed right now and we have variable, two different products. They're trying to develop a hybrid product. And if they're successful with that, and we were to go to bid and accept that, that should change a lot on this letter because there's nothing on here about a hybrid product.
That's true. That's very true, of course. Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure, I don't know whether we will end up with that product or we won't, but
I don't either.
that's the idea from day one was to get a fixed rate.
Correct.
Right.
But the hybrid product, I think, is the attempt by Constellation at least to create the compromise that we may need to make this work. So I just wanted to make sure that the opt-out letter will reflect a new product if it ends up being that's what we bid.
Absolutely, Gary. It would need to. Yeah.
And then Sue, refresh my memory in that. So if we kind of come through and do the CCA program first, while we're in that 60 days out, is that when we can do all those, if we're not in a COVID situation, obviously, but all of those kind of information sessions and whatnot too?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's where the confusion's going to get minimized, Gary. If we have those sessions like that, we talked about with Jewel and whatnot for that solar piece, it's a smaller, smaller groups, hopefully, and better conversation. It's live conversation versus reading something and misinterpreting and all that.
So I want to make sure I understand. During the 60-day period, the public outreach would be regarding the CCA, not the community solar.
Right. That's where the focus would be. We're required to do one meeting before the letter goes out, but we think we should do a series, have a series of opportunities for people to, hear the information. And then you could, as we're getting towards the end of that, we could begin to pull together influencers in the community, folks that you specify that you want to educate about the community solar opportunity, because we're going to really be relying upon relationships of community members for their support for that part of the program.
Okay.
And those are kind of those more intimate, hopefully events, at the brewery or something.
Yeah. Okay, so looks like the letter basically good. Just adding a hybrid product if necessary.
Yep.
And taking out the additional savings about or the information about community solar.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Anything else? Any other questions for Sue? Or comments from the board on the CCA? If not, Sue, you're welcome to stay on with us, but
Thank you so much. Thank you all for continuing to work towards, renewable energy. Really appreciate your leadership on that and your patience with the whole process. So,
thank you.
Thank
And
you.
just
thank you.
one
Have a good
thing,
night.
one thing before you go, I did leave the information with the town of Victor.
Oh, great.
So I'm hoping at some point to hear back from them, or I'll try to follow up. Okay?
Sounds great. Thanks
All
so
right.
much, Harry. Talk to you Thursday.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'll try and move things along here. So Hang Around Victor Day was on our agenda, but they pulled themselves from the agenda today. They have decided, I got an email from Brad Pearson, that they realized that the September date was not going to happen. So they are now looking ahead to an October date for some kind of event, and I don't have details on that. I don't know if Pam has anything on it from them, but. So next we have 70 East Main Street easement. So JT can chime in. This is Spectrum. I guess the Presbyterian Church is going to, I don't know whether they're going to Spectrum Business Service or what they're doing through Spectrum, but they have to update their connection. And they really need an easement from the village to do so, because they would connect, well, the line would come from down near the railroad tracks and come up along the side, the east side of our property, and through their parking lot and to the church. So they definitely need an easement. And I looked at the map along with that, and it looked, JT and Pam, as though they were looking at an option of coming from Collier's property. It looked like to me.
No, they're coming from the railroad tracks, so they got a transformer or a drop box back there. Everything's overhead by the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
So they would do a drop box, and then they want to dig all the way from the railroad tracks all the way into the Presbyterian Church. Problem is we just took that land over right next to it. So I mean, we can give them an easement as long as they don't hit all our stuff.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be a bad thing, really. I mean, so maybe we could negotiate with them to, put a drop at Village Hall for future reference.
Yeah. So anybody on the board have any comments about it or feelings one way or another about it?
I like it if we get something out of it.
Yeah, agreed.
Good suggestions. So I guess the next step is their attorney probably needs to contact Reed, and Reed, I don't know if that's happened yet.
No, I haven't heard from them, but I can reach out.
They probably, do they want something from us just initially to say that we're willing to negotiate?
Well, ideally, they just want us to sign off on whatever they present us with and go away. But we'll work something out with them that's.
Okay.
See, we're dealing with people that are charter, it's not Spectrum, charter, whatever you want to call them. They're out of Texas. So I think their laws are different than up here, because when me and Pam first got the emails, they wanted a right to entry, and I've never heard of that in my entire life, which might be the same as an easement.
Right.
So that's where the confusion got here about 2 weeks ago. So I think that, like, Reed's got all the language for it, and if he makes contact, the New York State needs an easement, to you dig on our property and we'll give you an easement.
Yeah. So I guess we'll wait to hear how that negotiation goes. And if anybody thinks of any comments one way or the other along the way, just keep us posted.
So Pam, weren't we looking for a board approval, right?
No, we just wanted to bring it to their attention and, right, Reed? We just
Yeah, I
want to
think
bring
so.
it.
Just give me the go ahead to talk to them and see what we can work out, and then I'll bring it back to the board.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, moving on, we have an application for a special event at 160 School Street, which is Twin Elders Brewery. And it's the Rock City Mustangs wanting to have a car show there. And they are, does everybody have that paperwork, Pam?
Yes.
So they're looking for September 19th date. So anybody want to make a comment?
So I'll just say the reason why you're looking at it is because Marty will take it from here if the board approves them having it. He's not gonna, he wanted the board approval first, and then he'll take care of the rest of it.
So, well, I'll start. I don't feel it's much different than any other public gathering at this point. And my initial feeling is I would say no. I don't know what their plan is, what their COVID plan is, or really too much. I mean, there's not that much information on here to tell me what they want to do. I did talk very briefly to Marty, and I was concerned about the liquor authority because you got to get approval to sell your, for consumption outside the building like they do at the other car shows. And Marty told me that they are not looking to do that, that any consumption of alcohol would be taking place inside of Twin Elders. I find that, maybe questionable, but, and this group is from, or the leader of it is from Hilton. And it's kind of, I'm wondering, why are you and Victor asking to do this? Maybe he's asked in other communities and they've turned him down. I don't know. But I don't know if anybody wants to comment on how they feel about it.
Well, when I did reach out to them to get some liability insurance, because we talked about that at pre-board. So I got that, and I asked him if he'd had it over at over at 160 School Street previously, because he says he's been having it for 7 years, and he didn't answer me, but I don't ever remember them coming here.
He's never been over there.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I mean, how many people do we foresee?
Well, he's saying 150 on the application.
Yeah, we didn't even let Jason do his thing. So, I mean, I can't believe that we would let, this is my opinion, that we would let them do it.
Jason who?
Jason Wild.
What do he want to do?
He runs the normal.
We usually do
shows.
car shows, yeah.
He had them every other week over there.
We said no to that?
No, he never asked.
Say no,
He just said
but
he wasn't gonna do it.
We just decided not to do it this year.
I mean, so he's been doing it and it gets good public reviews, and then this guy wants to come in here, probably because he's been turned down somewhere.
I mean, it's.
Guys are approaching this from a real half-empty standpoint. I mean, we didn't tell the other guy no, who does it all the time. And I think we're in this COVID thing that, you have, it's a 50-50. My experience has been you fall one way or another on it. So if this guy wants to have a 150 person event, that's allowed by the state. Why would we say no?
Well, first of all, how's he going to guarantee it's 150 people? Is he going to gate it off and, count them? I think he's picked 150 as his number because he knows that's the state's, regulation. Maybe it would be 150 people. I can't verify it either, but the
And
way
does-
things are going lately, I just don't think it's wise to be having the public events. The uptick is literally everywhere. It's not as bad right here, but it's literally everywhere. And, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would have to respectfully disagree. I think we're hindering a business owner who's trying to operate within the current guidelines of the state. So,
It's not the business owner that's coming forward though.
well, it's certainly going to benefit his business.
Oh, absolutely, if he wants the responsibility.
I mean,
I mean, we can't have golf tournaments.
well, you can, there's golf tournaments every day.
Oh, I'm sure there is, if they want the liability.
At some point in time, we gotta, we're gonna lose all our businesses. So I just think that, if we give him a list of common COVID protocols that he's got to follow.
I was gonna say, if we gave the go-ahead, so then Marty would talk to him. So Marty has a whole list of what he would have to follow and everything to have this.
Yeah, Marty would ask, not just for what's your plan for the event, but what's your COVID plan as well,
Right.
and,
So we would have to have some way of keeping track of how many people.
Well, I mean, so they had the first outdoor concert in the state in Livonia. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the good people who run Livonia, but I can't believe they're any smarter than we are. So, if you have to, at the concert in Livonia, which was the first week in June, you had to buy your ticket in advance. You had your spot. I don't understand why this guy couldn't do that in his parking lot.
I don't know, Mike. I'd have to see his plan.
Well, I think he's saying to us, and again, it's hard because we could certainly have him come here, but I think he's saying to us, is it worth doing a plan, or are you just going to say no? So
Yeah,
I mean, you have
maybe.
to start somewhere.
Yep.
Is this going to come back to us with a plan to the trustees, or would he be coming back just to Marty or somebody with a plan? What's going forward from here? Are we giving approval tonight? Or are we just saying yes or no, we like the idea and come back with a plan?
That's a good question, Bob. I mean, he's looking for approval, but,
Well, he's got plenty of time. I say, let Marty contact him, tell him what Marty needs, and then see what we get. Just like the guy with the bridge, Marty told him exactly what we needed, and we haven't seen anything from him.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd feel that I'd be receptive to it if he came up with a plan that was acceptable to everybody involved.
Yeah, I guess.
I'd be willing to look at a plan.
My feeling really still is the same as it would be for Hang Around Victor Day or any of these other events. People, when they come to these events, they don't come to stay away from each other. They come to participate and, talk about the cars or whatever. And, they're going to be going in there and having a beer and coming out and whatever. I just can't imagine that you can, put 6-foot markers and, somebody stand there and wait until the guy ahead of them gets done looking at the car. It's just not how those events go. But
So Van Bortle Ford partners with Rock City Mustang. I just looked up Rock City Mustangs, and Van Bortle Ford is the proud sponsor of the Rock City Mustangs. So, because I just wanted to look, because I'm like, okay, is this somebody that, okay, one, he's coming from Hilton. Why is he coming from Hilton, to John's point? 2, is this a ruse that it's really not for cancer? I don't want to sound like Debbie Downer, but we don't know. So at least Rock City Mustangs is legit. And on their website, it talks about that they've done cancer awareness bowling tournaments. And then they've done Perfect Pony all Mustang car shows. But in the past, it says that it was held at Van Bortle Ford. And they have over 100 Mustangs on display.
oh, why don't they hold it at Van Bortle Ford?
That was my next question.
I understand what Mike is saying about the businesses, and I'm sure people are gonna not like me for saying what I'm saying, but I just don't think, it's my opinion, we shouldn't be pushing that envelope.
But we're not pushing the envelope. We're allowing a business to operate within the guidelines of New York State.
Perhaps.
Well, it's not a perhaps. I mean, the governor allows 150 people gatherings.
With some pretty strict protocol.
So I think it's worthy of a vote.
I don't have any problem with that.
So I would vote yes, as long as they had a COVID protocol plan that was approved by Marty.
Okay, I vote no. Bob,
I vote yes.
Michelle,
I'm going to say no.
Carol?
I think I'd like to see the plan, and I guess one thing that I, heard on the news today when they're talking about the new guidelines for restaurants, you have to buy food to have alcohol and all that. And he made it very clear that it will be up to the local authorities, local community to enforce all this. So that comes back on us then to make sure that this is done within the guidelines.
Yeah, unfortunately it does.
He's also got one on their Facebook page that's saying that they're doing this car show on August 9th in Brockport.
So when you say it comes back on us, then we're saying that we're sending Marty out to Luca Pizza and Bistro 11 to make sure everybody's compliant?
It's up to us. If he gets a complaint, yeah, somebody's got to go there and say, yeah.
So if he gets a complaint,
Right.
I mean, it's up to you guys. I don't know how long you guys want to live in a bubble. It's, I read the governor's report every day, and we haven't broken 2% in months. So
That's great.
September.
So Carol, do you have a vote?
Well, I guess I would say yes. I mean, let's see the plan. Let's see what Marty comes back with after he talks to these people before I say no. Can I do
Okay.
that?
Well,
But
Does
we're,
does that mean that it's coming back to us for another vote after the plan? Or are we accepting Marty's decision on it?
well, now that we've already voted, unless we,
Well, but Carol sort of voted on something that the rest of us didn't vote on.
I know, but Reed, unless we can remand our vote, we can say, if we want to do this again, give it to Marty, let him get the plan, and we take a look at it and then vote, because Pam says the guy's got enough time. We can go that route if Reed says legally we're okay to do that.
No, I agree with what Bob just said. Carol sort of
Messed
made
it
her
all
own little
up.
amendment to this and didn't vote on what was before the rest of you. So I don't know that there is really a vote on the question that was presented.
All right, if I will say yes.
Okay,
on the- yeah.
then that's 3 yeses and 2 nos, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It goes to Marty now.
Okay.
Thank you, Pam, for
Yep.
all the information. Thank you, board, for the discussion. All right. Pam, do we want to talk about the other issue?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have another issue that came up and it also has to do with a penalty, but this is on a tax bill.
Hey, Gary,
Yes.
I'd like to sign off,
All right.
okay?
Yep. Have a good night.
Me too.
Yeah. See you, board. Bye.
So after the bills are due July 1st, so as a courtesy, I sent out a reminder notice around the second week in July in case people just forgot they lost whatever, that they should have paid it. So I sent them out last week and I got a call right away from this lady that lives at 26 Valley View Drive. And she said that she put the bill in the mailbox, in our mailbox over here on June 24th with a check in an envelope. So I told her that the mailbox had been checked several times a day during the whole month of June and we never got it. So I asked her to see if her check was cashed and it wasn't. So I said, we never got the bill. And she just insists that she put it in the mailbox. She called here around the 18th and asked how to pay it because I think it was escrowed and it had just come off escrow. So she wasn't sure, you know, even though it says, you know, pay it by mail, pay it at Canandaigua National, or send it, put it in the mailbox. So she said she came down on the 24th and put it in the mailbox. So there's no place for it to go. And, you know, all of Diane's books and my books all match. There's no, you know, $1,100 check roaming around somewhere. So she feels that she shouldn't have to pay the $55 penalty. And I told her that I would bring it up and see what you say. She's, you know, she has no problem paying the original amount, but she doesn't want to pay the $55 penalty because she insists that she put it in the mailbox on the 24th, like she was told to do.
Didn't get in the town mailbox by mistake, did it?
Well, even if it was over there, we would have had it by now because went over there today to get the mail. I had a meeting with Karen Bodine last week and she brought me my mail, and because that's always our first question. But she says no. And also, so today I had John Turner rip apart the inside of the mailbox so I could be double and triply sure that it couldn't have gone anywhere.
Get stuck.
So I don't know what to say.
Anybody?
Didn't we just talk about this earlier?
Yeah,
Like it.
I got several more examples if you'd like to hear them, but this is the only one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, you know, I get that it's one-sided, but she owes. You owe.
Yeah, I don't know how,
I'm sure somebody else put theirs in June 24th too, right? I mean,
I took them out several times a day, so we didn't get jammed up again.
Well, I take it that that's everybody's opinion that she's just going to have to pay the penalty.
I'm afraid that's the way I would take it.
Yeah, we can't say no to one person and say yes to somebody else. Similar situation.
Everybody agree? Michelle, you out there?
And yeah. Yeah, I think if we did one, we've got to do the other.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that she might not want to hear from a higher power when I talk to her tomorrow, Gary, just so you know.
All right.
Well, she might call me too.
Okay, thank you. I think.
Yeah.
So one last thing I have, and this is kind of maybe somewhat after the fact, but RG&E sent me a email quite a while ago to tell me that they would have personnel out in the field in our community doing inside gas line inspections in the homes. And there is a Facebook, the RG&E Facebook and Twitter accounts. There is a publication out there on those accounts to let people know. And of course, there's been so much scam artists out there during the COVID-19. I think that's one of the reasons they wanted to get this out there. And their suggestion is, and I bring this up to the board in case you have a resident who, has an issue with somebody coming to their door and tells you about it. And they're just saying, make sure that you ask for the employee's RG&E ID. So, and that information is out on their Facebook and Twitter accounts. And it began on, this is work that's been kind of backed up because of the COVID-19 situation. It began middle toward the late part of June. So they're probably still out there. So.
We're
This
putting
one.
on our Facebook page.
On our Facebook page,
Yeah. Just to let people know.
we could definitely put a link to that information. Pam, could you have Roseanne do that?
Where did you get the information from?
I will send you this email, and
Okay.
the link is in there.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Carol. That's all I've got tonight. Reed, anything?
No, I have nothing further.
All righty, you'll keep us posted on the Spectrum charter situation.
Absolutely.
Thank you. If nobody else has any other business, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mike,
A second.
second by Carol. All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Thank you, Gary.
Sure.
All right, be
Thanks,
good.
Gary.
Right off.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.